Good morning. The title of this video is It's Time to Renounce Your U.S. Citizenship. And make note that I say your U.S. citizenship. I'm a Puerto Rican, by the way. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, we are U.S. citizens from birth. And in my case, I'm a third generation US citizen. And this will kind of come into the story a little later because I am going to actually mention a few groups that would actually benefit from this bargain deal that you guys are getting. And notice how I'm saying you, yours, not me. No, not me. So, well, before I continue, I actually want to show you the reason why I'm making this video. And this is from the New York Times, and it says, the State Department cuts price of renouncing U.S. citizenship to $450. The fee had been increased to $2,350 in the year 2015, prompting criticism and legal challenges from advocacy groups. By the way, again, I'm Puerto Rican, so bear with me, and Americans living abroad. And then it has here the U.S. passport. It says the State Department significantly reduces the cost of giving up the rights to a U.S. passport. Because as we know, although the story is not about the U.S. passport, as we know, with the U.S. citizenship, you also get the benefit of getting a U.S. passport. You don't have to get it. It's a benefit, And this story was published yesterday, and it says the State Department is drastically reducing the cost of renouncing American citizenship, ending a year-long legal battle over the price of relinquishing a blue passport. Again, the story is not really about the passport, it's about the citizenship. In an update published in the Federal Register on Friday, the State Department said that it was reducing the consular fees for renouncing U.S. citizenship to $450 from $2,350. A more than 80% reduction in cost for the clunky bureaucratic process. The policy change, which is effective April 13th, so you still have roughly about a month, at which point you will be able to do this, was proposed in October 2023. And it keeps going down here, but anyways, the important thing is all pretty much in this part that I have highlighted. And so the reason why I'm saying this is because this is a great deal for those of you who actually constantly talk against the nation in which you were born. And now I'm actually going to get into before I get to that, as I said, this is a bargain. This is cheaper than going to a fast food place nowadays. By the way, I'm being sarcastic, but I will say that I remember a few years back being able to get one of the main menus, the menu deal of every single fast food place. I'm not gonna name them, but you know which ones they are. The main menus, you could get them for $3. So now for the low cost of $450. We're not talking here about, 450 pesos from whatever nation of people that I'm going to mention a little later on this video. We're also not talking here about 450 pesetas, which used to be the money that they used to use in Spain, or as some Boricuas would call La Madre Patria, as in the motherland. Of course, I don't call Spain that. So we're actually talking here about $450, which is a great deal for those of you who are constantly talking against your nation. And now I will, by the way, this is a sort of English version of the same video that I made a few days back for my own people. And when I say my own people, I mean the Puerto Ricans. But although I don't consider myself a Boricua, right? I use that term in a derogatory manner. The point being is that, I did make this video for them, and in their version of the video, I mentioned these groups because I wanted to show them how not only Boricuas would benefit from this, but also people like you, which I will mention now. So, for example, if you are one of those heavy melanated people whose hair normally grows out as an afro, and you consider yourself an eternal victim, right? That's what you consider yourself, even though the system has been rigged in your favor for decades. And you will say, how? What in the hell is this Puerto Rican talking about? Well, when you think about the fact that in the hiring process, a lot of people with more qualifications than you were bypassed, and you were instead hired because they had to have a quota to fill. And obviously they were bypassed because these people didn't share the same melanin levels or afro hair than you do. Then that's a sign of a system that has been put in place to help you, even though if you were to compete in the free market, you wouldn't have gotten hired. But not only that, when you have a federal government that imposes a system called affirmative action, in which, say, when it comes to your education, your grades really weren't that great, especially compared to people of lighter melanin levels, be it white or Asian, for example. And yet you were chosen, preferably chosen, to go to a better school or a one of these elite, as they call them, universities, over these other people who actually had better grades than you, but their melanin level was not as high as you. That tells you that the system has been rigged in your favor. Yet you have been feeling, because this is all about feelings, this is not about facts, as a victim of a system. I don't know, because these people see the world in the opposite light of what it actually is. Well, if you are one of them, if you see everything through the lens of racism, well, it is time for you to take this bargain price and renounce your US citizenship. And you can go, because obviously you don't like the nation in which you were born. And instead of you being happy that you weren't born in the continent, rather large continent, from which nations from the sub-Sahara down, not the North African nations, that's different. All the nations from sub-Sahara down are like you, and by that I mean nations with populations of high melanin levels and afro hair. Instead of you being grateful of the fact that you were born in the nation that has actually systematically tried to lift you up artificially, you know, and get you to the level of the great Thomas Sowell, instead of you being grateful, you have been complaining. Well, it is the perfect time for you to go to those sub-Saharan nations, from which there are plenty, and, enjoy being with your people and not complain about racism, I mean, is this, like I said, this is the perfect deal for you. But just to show that this is not a video about this Puerto Rican who actually looks white being a racist. No. This video actually, it's also for those white people who like to go on marches, protests, and all those things, and they like to chant things that like no borders, no walls, no USA at all. Those people that hate their constitution and only use the constitution whenever it actually benefits them somehow, right? Those people who hate their constitution so much that normally they actually say that the constitution should be like a living, breathing organism that adapts to the times, and because it is so old, it needs to be changed to something modern, right? Those people that say this is a nation of immigrants, but at the same time say that what is it that they say? There are no illegals in stolen land, something like that. Which, if you think about it, both things are incompatible. But those are the things that these people say. Basically, people. I'm just saying, white people that hate their nation. Coincidentally or not coincidentally, these are the people that normally speak about the benefits of Marxism, especially socialism. Well, now is the time for you to take this amazing deal and renounce your US citizenship. And you can go to one of those places where the Marxism that you advertise, promote, has been established perfectly. I'm not talking here about those European nations where, yes, they do have a form of socialism where people are heavily taxed, and with those taxes they get healthcare and other things, but unlike real socialism, they have free market to the point where some of them don't even have the what is this called, low minimum the minimum wage. They don't have that, right? So yes, they have a form of socialism where, as I said, people are taxed heavily to have this welfare programs, but at the same time they are very protective of the private industry to the point where they don't even have the minimum wage. Well, now is your time not to go there, because that's not what you have been promoting. You have been promoting places where basically the government, and by the government they mean the people, right? Because a government is made from the people by the people, right? Or for the people by the people, something like that, right? So so these people that, not coincidentally, like to promote this idea where the government needs to take control of the means of production, and from whatever it's produced, the benefits should be redistributed to each according to their needs, to from each according to their whatever. I'm not a Marxist, so I don't actually remember their quotes. But this type of people, again, people that obviously hate their nation, the US, now is your perfect time to move to one of the places where socialism has been properly implemented. Places like Venezuela, places like Cuba, perhaps North Korea. You know, now it's the perfect time for you. But I'm not, just leaving it at you two, the two groups that I've already mentioned. No. Now I'm going towards my group. I'm not talking about the Boricua, right? Although I am not a Boricua, I am a Puerto Rican. Again, there's a big difference between a Puerto Rican and a Boricua, right? Ocasio-Cortez would be a Boricua. I am a Puerto Rican, right? So now I'm going to the Hispanic, my group, right? Because although I am white, for all intents and purposes, according to the people that who I expect this video to be my audience, the people that I'm recommending this amazing deal, I would be considered a POC, or person of color. So now, as a Hispanic that I am actually, I want to bring this video to you guys. If you are a first generation, maybe even second generation Hispanic, although you don't have to be Hispanic, you could be from, I don't know, whatever, someplace from the Middle East, and the same rules apply to you. First generation, second generation U.S. citizen. Not me. I'm a third generation U.S. citizen, by the way. Although my dad and my granddad, my dad being second generation, my granddad being first generation, they all, like me, appreciated their citizenship, that is the U.S. citizenship. But in a lot of cases, when it comes to, this first generation people, or even second generation people, they tend not to feel that the nation in which they were born is their nation. So they're not proud of it. They don't really care about it. As a matter of fact, they also like to go out to protest, showing flags of Mexico or somewhere in South America. Mexico is not in South America. Mexico is in North America. That's why I distinguished Mexico and the rest, of the Hispanic nations in South America, right? They like to display those flags and whatnot. And they feel right, because as I said earlier, this is all about feelings. This is not all about facts. So when it comes to them, they feel discriminated. Well, now is the perfect time for you to, for the bargain price of $450, renounce that citizenship that you were given from birth. And since you don't feel like you are a U.S. citizen, again, you can renounce that citizenship and go to the nation from where either your parents or grandparents came from. You know, you can do that. Yeah, I think I have done all of you guys a great service by providing you the information that you needed. You needed, not me, again, so that you can take that big step and show us all that you're not all about words, that you are all about actions, right? And so I expect long lines in whatever office that does this, you know, wherever you go to renounce your U.S. citizenship. I expect really long lines of people renouncing their U.S. citizenship, be it one of these people with high melanin levels and afro hair, or these white people, or these Hispanics or Middle Eastern or whatever you are, right? Just show us that you are not just about saying things, you're about actions. And after you renounce your U.S. citizenship, I expect to see long lines at the airports of this great nation of mine, and see a bunch of you guys living my great nation. And anyways, if I have informed you and I have made you think, I would hope that you share this video, and it will be until the next one.